Watch how Ed Miliband is torn apart in one of the most explosive Commons clashes yet, as accusations of broken promises, soaring energy bills and industrial self-harm send shockwaves through Parliament. With families across Britain struggling to pay bills and businesses fearing collapse, this fiery debate strikes at the heart of what millions are feeling right now: anger, frustration and disbelief. Claire Coutinho launches a brutal attack on Labour's net zero agenda, accusing Miliband of destroying Britain's energy security while ordinary people pay the price. Before we continue, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Britain Daily. It's completely free and it helps us keep bringing you the hard-hitting stories that matter. Let's watch this explosive clip.
I beg to move the amendment as on the order paper. And in fact, this may be our last meeting across this dispatch box, because the Secretary of State is once again on manoeuvres. So considering he's gunning for a promotion, let's review his record, shall we? He promised in the election that he would cut everybody's energy bills by £300. And what's he delivered? Energy bills up by £200 thanks to his plans. He said he would protect pensioners. But weeks into office, he axed the winter fuel payment, a policy that many of them have cited as their worst political decision in power. He promised that Great British Energy would lead to, and I quote, a mind-blowing reduction in bills. And yet 2 years in, it hasn't taken a penny off household bills, but it has given a six-figure salary to one of his mates. And now we learn that Great British Energy has been putting solar panels made by Chinese slave labour on British primary schools, something he promised this House he would not do. So what's next? Oh, that's right. He said he could control the price of wind. But his botched wind auction signed us up to the highest prices in a decade, way more than the cost of electricity that he inherited. Promise after broken promise. Bills up, pensioners betrayed, six-figure salaries for his mates and eye-watering contracts for wind developers. And now, to top it all off, a so-called energy independence bill, which would shut down the North Sea. The greatest act of industrial self-harm in a generation. If that's what gets you a promotion in the Labour Party, then Lord help us all. So let's turn to this so-called energy independence bill. For true energy independence, we need our own oil and gas. But this bill enforces the willful destruction of the North Sea. We need our own petrol, diesel, I will in a moment, we need our own petrol, diesel and jet fuel, but this bill does nothing to save our refineries, which are being taxed into oblivion. We need an electricity system which keeps the lights on for British households and industry, but his plan will leave us at the mercy of foreign imports. This isn't independence. It doesn't even come close. It's an energy dependence bill that would leave us weaker, poorer, and more reliant on foreign regimes.
Grateful to her for giving way. She says that for energy independence we need our own oil and gas rather than investing in renewables. She'll know that under her government, the government paid £44 billion to subsidise our energy during the time of the Ukraine price spike. Can she tell us how much were our bills reduced as a result of having our own oil and gas when the Ukraine crisis happened?
Firstly, let me say to the honourable gentleman, bills came down £500 under me. They've gone up £200 because of the Secretary of State's plans. And let me tell him another hard truth. Cutting off production in the North Sea, he should listen to this, he might learn something. Cutting off production in the North Sea doesn't mean we use any less oil and gas. Production is not linked to consumption. All that it means is that we'll import more of that gas from abroad. That is weaker. That makes us more reliant on imports. No, he used up his chance. He should have asked a better question. Now, look, there are some parts of this work that I welcome. The Fingleton Review is impressive. I thank those involved, and as I've made clear before, we will support this work going forward. Nuclear is the only form of energy that can provide round-the-clock, totally clean power, and I'll always support policies which make it as easy as possible to build. However, there is a catch. The Secretary of State says he wants to ease nuclear regulations, whilst at the very same time he's cancelled the project that they would be used upon. By cancelling the third large-scale nuclear power station that I signed off, he has killed the nuclear pipeline. He's repeating his own mistakes. We are set to have yet another Labour government which has failed to start a singular new large-scale nuclear power plant. And now, we here in Natural England are adding yet more delays to Hinkley Point C for little environmental gain. Is he fighting it? No, he's defending the status quo. But by the end of this Parliament, we'll still be waiting for a decision as to whether SMRs will go ahead. By 2030, there will be less nuclear online than there is now. And in 2035, which is 10 years away, they still won't have started any new large-scale nuclear power plants in this country. This is the same old stop-start approach that killed the industry to begin with. If that's what he calls being ambitious for nuclear, he needs to give his head a wobble.
I thank the honourable lady for giving way. In my constituency of Morecambe and Lunesdale, we have Heysham 1 and 2 power plants. The reason that nuclear power will possibly go down is because plants are coming to the end of their lives. Plants are coming to the end of their lives, and the right honourable lady's government did nothing about it for 14 years. Why did she not deliver, Madam Deputy Speaker, when she was in government?
Well, look, let me tell the honourable lady. Under the last Labour government, which the Energy Secretary was part of, not a single new nuclear power plant was started. So when we came into power in 2015, when we got control of the energy brief, there was one nuclear welder left in the country. It is the stop-start approach which kills the nuclear industry. And here's the problem. They have killed the pipeline again. These are the same old mistakes. And that is why I'm raising them, because we're getting into the same trouble again. Now, Madam Deputy Speaker, he says they weren't mistakes. It wasn't a mistake not to start a single new nuclear power plant. That's what he thinks, on the record. Now, Madam Deputy Speaker, on to the North Sea. Andy Burnham, who is hoping to be Labour leader, talked yesterday about reindustrialisation. But meanwhile today, the Secretary of State is asking his backbenchers to vote to shut down the North Sea. This is the single greatest act of industrial self-harm we have seen in a generation. Only a complete wacko would respond to a supply shortage by shutting down their own oil and gas industry. We are in the absurd position of the Labour Chancellor thanking Canada and Norway for increasing their oil and gas production while her own government is shutting British production down. And why? So we can be more reliant on higher emission gas from Qatar or the US, so we can send billions of pounds to Norway to import gas from the very same basin that we could be drilling ourselves. Yep. And they're calling this energy independence. Have they lost their minds? Yes. I'll happily give way on that point.
Very grateful to the right honourable lady. She talks of absurd positions. I did a little bit of research before the speech today. I went back to the 21st of May 2024, just before the last general election, and in this House, in her capacity then as the Secretary of State, she said that she believed in net zero and that we will get there in 2050 and with the public on our side. Her position now is that she doesn't believe in net zero, doesn't believe it's desirable or achievable. Is that not absurd?
Madam Deputy Speaker, people change their minds when they look at facts. I'm not hiding for this. I'm not hiding for this.
It takes actually thinking for yourself, though.
I think the honourable gentleman needs to look at the overall record of things I said in government. The key thing, the first thing I said when I went into position is we cannot impoverish ourselves in the name of net zero.
Exactly right.
You know, I started a true costing of renewables in department because we didn't have a proper costing of energy. Yep. Who cancelled that work? The Secretary of State. I backed the North Sea. I signed off Rosebank. I legislated to protect those North Sea licences. Who was turning all of that around? The Secretary of State. And we all know the real reason that he's doing it. He's shutting down British oil and gas to show climate leadership. Yep. He put that in the King's speech. Yep. Let's be crystal clear, though. What he's saying is that he's willing to turn his back on British industry, even though we won't need any less. We'll just rely on higher emission imports from abroad. Because he cares more about the climate bureaucrats than the jobs of British workers. That is what climate leadership means to him. But the question I would ask is, where exactly is this meant to be leading us to? Bankruptcy? Where does it end? Cheering as the lights go out, as the last factory in Britain closes. That's what his North Sea and carbon tax policies are doing. They are simply offshoring British emissions. To the coal-powered refineries of India, the diesel tankers bringing us gas from the US and Qatar, to the factories we are now getting our ammonia from in Trinidad. That doesn't help the climate, and it doesn't help British workers.
What you've just watched wasn't just another political argument in Westminster. It was a warning about the future direction of Britain. This clash exposed the growing fear that ordinary workers, pensioners, and struggling businesses are being forced to carry the cost of political ideology. From rising energy bills to concerns over jobs in the North Sea and heavy industry, this debate hit nerves that millions of Britons feel every single day. Claire Coutinho's attack on Ed Miliband laid bare a deeper national frustration. People are tired of promises that sound good in speeches but leave households worse off in reality. Whether you support Labour or the Conservatives, one thing is clear. The pressure on Britain's economy, energy security and working families is becoming impossible to ignore. And perhaps the most explosive moment of all was the accusation that Britain is sacrificing its own industries while becoming increasingly dependent on foreign powers for energy. That's the kind of argument guaranteed to dominate politics for months to come. What do you think? Is Labour's net zero strategy helping Britain or hurting it? Don't forget to like this video, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Britain Daily for more explosive UK political debates, PMQ's clashes, and breaking Westminster drama.